Hey y'all, it's me, your favorite pimp, Ty. Welcome to Lessons Learned from a Pimp, our web series. Today's lesson is all about the importance of relationships and project management. So let's get into it. All right. So, our very special guest today is Mrs. Lori Smith. Hey, Lori.
Hey, Ty, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I won't even complain, but I'm doing well, so thanks for asking.
Well, thank you for being here. So let me just tell everyone all about you because you've had a long career, a very in-depth career. So you are the founder and CEO of Acu Elegant LLC, which is a consulting firm, and you specialize in federal contracting. You have over 41 years, which is crazy, in federal service, and you bring extensive expertise in contract management, and you have overseen a 128 billion with a B dollar portfolio. You are a seasoned business strategist and mentor, and you also lead the Management Concepts Career Gateway acquisition cohort. And you are also a best selling author. How do you find time to do all of these things?
But God,
I know that's right. So you're again. It's crazy to believe that you've been around 40 years doing this work, uh, and I'm just so very impressed by everything that you do with your stellar career in project management, working all of these various roles and with different agencies in the federal government. How have your experiences in the Air Force and the federal government influence the way you build relationships in project management?
well, again, Ty, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to come and talk to your audience and others out there. And I really am humbled by this. So thank you so much because you could have asked anyone else, but you asked me, and I do want you to know that I appreciate it. And I also appreciate you and John. And so, as it relates to the question, when I think about my Air Force career as well as my career in federal government and how it has helped me to cultivate relationships and manage projects, what I find interesting is that, the military, well, one, growing up in a holiness environment, you actually come into a situation where you are living in accordance with a certain set of rules, right?
Hmm.
And so then when you are able to transition into a workforce environment that reinforces that actually. So in my military career, I found that discipline, having that structured environment and that clear communication, they were actually foundational principles, that I have continued to, live my life by. And so when in the Air Force, we were always required, and you had to work on teams, and you have to trust the person on the other side, either side of you. And sometimes when you're working on teams, you could be put in a situation where the team members are not the people that you typically go to work with every day. So you have to learn to trust those people who are around you, and you can only do that by facilitating and having open communications. And so when you have open communication, it mitigates problems from arising. Nobody is withholding anything, and so you're able to move that. So having an open communication amongst team members, it was just crucial in our being able to collaborate and just do the things that had been assigned for us to do. And so I was also able to do by being into the military is you learn and you develop this appreciation for diverse cultures and people from all walks of life. So whether I was stationed in the U.S. or abroad, you had to be mindful and respectful of the people that you were around. And so by openly communicating, listening to what it is that they had to say, learning the nuances behind various cultures, that facilitated our being able to collaborate effectively. And so as I transitioned to federal service and started working in the federal government, it actually just enriched, what I had learned, again, in the being in the military. And so in the federal government, I was given even more complex contracts and managing major large scale projects. And so when you're required to do that, you have to be able to, again, facilitate open communication because now you're collaborating with a range of stakeholders. So whether it's contractors or senior level officials, now you have to make sure that you're being transparent, you're being trustworthy in the information you provide, and that you're establishing, that credibility amongst that group of new people that you're now working with. So credibility also comes into play as you continue to work major projects and being mindful of respecting one another and again maintaining that structure. So my focus was always on delivering the results and maintaining accountability. And so what that did was help me build confidence, amongst stakeholders and other team members. And so when someone realized, okay, Lori is going to be working a project because you had did the things that you needed to do, or I had did the things that I needed to do, was showing up ready, showing up proven, showing up trustworthy, showing up, ready to collaborate and work together. You get this exhale because what they knew is that you were going to provide them the results that they needed. And so you leverage that experience and it just helps, with facilitating completion of those large, complex requirements and managing, those complex contracts. And so what it's done is that my experience over all of this time, whether it was in the Air Force or the military, it just have taught me, how to be creative, but more importantly, when you're in that environment, you have to be mindful that everybody has to feel valued. Everybody has to be informed, and then you got to make sure everything is aligned with the goals. And so when you're able to facilitate that type of discipline, structure, and open communication, it just have really supported my being able to leverage my abilities as relates to managing projects.
Yeah. So you mentioned a lot of things, communication being one, because as a project manager, 90% of what we do is communication, right? Um,
Yeah, that's
yeah, so fostering that open communication is so very important. So I appreciate you bringing up that point. But you mentioned trust like 7 times. I think I counted it. How do you foster trust amongst your team members and with your stakeholders as well?
well, you foster trust amongst your team members and stakeholders, one, by just being true to who you are. When you show up competent, when you show up ready, and when you show up, prepared, people are inclined to trust you. When you're transparent, you cannot withhold information. And that's again why open communication is very important. When you have open communication, communication isn't just coming from me to you, it's coming from you to me. It's coming from either side, so you got to be open with that and you're sharing the information. So because I always operated from a place of, hey, I'm going to respect you because everyone is due respect, right?
Right.
So when you're trustworthy and you're showing respect and you're being open about it and you're not trying to hide anything, that do develop esprit de corps or it builds this level of collaboration where people are inspired and influenced and want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was just consistent. People always knew what they were going to get with me.
Yeah.
They knew I was always going to operate from a place of excellence. They knew I was going to hold everyone accountable. They knew I was going to do what it was that I said I would do. And they also knew that in the event that a schedule slipped or something happened, they were going to get that communication with the appropriate rationale as to why, this the schedule is delayed. And more often than not, in contracting specifically, if you're managing your projects and programs correctly, you can stay on schedule a bit.
Hmm.
But outside influence, those external influences are going to be the things that delay us. So again, we can't control all things. So
Right.
long as everybody is informed about the nuances around the process, communicating that, and so long as everybody had a voice, I also, again, make sure people feel valued. If you're working, I'm working. Especially even as I progressed up in positions, I never would leave my staff members hanging. If there's a lot of work to do, there's a lot of work to do. So everybody rolled up their sleeves, and so that was mine as well. And when you do those types of things, having that open line of communication, being structured, being transparent, listening,
Yeah.
active listening is extremely important when you're trying to establish relationships and build relationships among team members, and then being flexible as well as adaptable.
Mm.
Because flexibility, because you're a program manager, and I'm certain you have quite a few experiences where, hey, you had to be flexible and adapt to change.
Yes.
You have to adjust and change gears because something came up. And again, we can stew about it, but why? Does the task or job still need to be done? And so let's just do it. And so those are things that I felt, facilitated my being able to work well with team and grow teams as well as making sure they were also empowered.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, people got to feel that they have the privilege and the right and the space and the grace to do the job or to do what is necessary without having to come and ask you for permission all the time.
Yeah, definitely. So, you talked a lot about diverse teams, right? Because when you're in the army working for the federal government, you have to work with different types of people, ethnicities. Maybe they were a different religion. Not that you bring religion into the workplace, but things come out, right? So
Mm-hmm.
with that, how did you make that work as well? How did you build that bridge? I would say across those diverse teams.
Well, you're absolutely correct. All of that do come into the workplace because what we're different beings, right? And
Right.
when you go to another country, especially, we have a responsibility. They often tell us in the military we are ambassadors when we go to other countries.
Okay.
Some people take it serious, some people don't. I've always been a lover of God's people, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I try to always make sure that I treat people with respect and hold them accountable and make sure that they do the same to me, give and show me respect. But what you have to do is you have to appreciate and respect that. We can have difference of religion, and actually, I have worked on teams and had staff members that did have varying religious beliefs. And what you do is you have to give them, you have to, just like my beliefs are being accommodated and allowed, I'm going to give you that freedom to choose and operate within that space
Right.
and respect your religion as well. Because what, from a religious perspective, and not to preach here, but from a religious perspective, we're not called to hate.
Right. That's exactly right.
Your will, your choice is your will, your choice. So how do I, one, respect who you are as a person and what it is your belief system is, but still be mindful that we still have a mission and a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
And because when you're able to do that, I will tell you, people will work for you.
Mm.
They will work for you, whether you look on the job or you on leave, they will work for you. And I've been privileged to have benefited from always having that type of synergy in my team because in diverse cultures, you have to show changes. I've been stationed in Korea, different nuances,
Right.
different rules of engagement, different decorum. Been stationed in Turkey, the station in Okinawa, Japan, Honduras, Panama. And so different cultures in different places around the world have different cultures, but everybody likes being valued.
Right.
Everyone likes being respected. Everybody likes being recognized and seen as well as being heard. And that is what you have to do. And so when you have a team, and when you are a leader and you are taking care of the people who work for you, or who you've been given the privilege to serve, when you are doing the right thing, I am telling you, they're going to job and they're going to bust back. When they know there are going to be special holidays that comes around their religious, they're going to make sure that they work ahead. But as a team, when everybody show up,
Yeah.
everybody is doing their fair share, that team will carry and take care of you.
Mm.
And so, even for me as a director, if I may, share, when my mother was transitioning in 2018, I had one staff member who was set to retire.
Mhm.
When we found out the extent of my mother's cancer, he delayed his retirement to support me.
Wow.
When I was in Macon supporting my mother, I didn't have to worry about my team, but they kept me informed. Again, open communication, very transparent. When I had my moments to steal away, I'm responding and making sure I'm supporting them, because we was working on extremely high, complex, and very political requirements. But because I had always taken care of them, always showed them respect, always valued them, they reciprocated
Right.
and took care of me. And that's what it's about, when you show that type of respect with people, because it is very important that we get the people thing right.
Right.
And when you get the people thing right, people will work for you in the most austere conditions and be happy about it.
Yeah. So I really like the fact that you were able to foster that and build that type of team, where, like you said, if you had to step away because of life, right? Because life happens all the
Mm-hmm.
time. How long does it normally take for those out there that may not know how to bring a team together? How long did that take? Did it take 2 months, 3 months? Is it ongoing? How did you make that happen?
Well, it was Ty. I'm a different breed, right? And so, again, I don't want to understate anything or overstate it. But for me, again, my cultivation, or my development started as a child
Mm.
in my upbringing. So when I went somewhere, I'm always engaging to people, and I've always tried to show respect for people. So for me, again, being mindful of what was required as my responsibilities and my duties increased, I was a student to myself and the things I was required to do, right? So I'm going to be prepared for that role, for that responsibility. So I was always preparing for the next thing.
Mm.
And so when you given that responsibility, what I do is I'm a believer of creating a round table where we all come together and get to know one another.
Okay.
When you're getting to know people, that's the Norman storming that you quite often hear about. But when you give pause and time to get to know people and be mindful of the things that are important to them, that actually expedites it. And so I recall on one assignment I had, I went to work. I was the new director, had a team of six. I reviewed everybody's resume. And then I called everybody around the table, and I was like, okay, we could have been great writers, authors,
Right.
storytellers.
Right.
You ain't there yet, but guess what? As a team, we're going to get there.
Right.
And so giving them that freedom to know that, man, she's mindful that there may be some holes in what I said about myself,
Hmm.
but she's coming here. We're going to work together as a team to all get there. And that's what we did. And so because of that, they learned to trust that there was someone that cared about them. So again, it expedites that synergy. So it all depends on the person. It all depends on how prepared you come into the role. And that's the requirement for us to have that level of discipline, to make sure that we show up ready. And when you show up ready, you can facilitate it happening quicker rather than later. But for some folks, they'll go back and forth for years and never get it right.
Right.
But don't stop trying. That just means let's go to back to the drawing board. Let's see what we did not do for ourselves, and how we did not prepare ourselves. Because self, we have to be prepared in order to facilitate, synergy amongst the team. You
Right.
have to be.
Right. And I think it goes back to what you were talking about before, about being flexible and adaptive to situations as well. I feel
Yes.
like as a leader, you have to be flexible and adaptive to your team, right? Like they know who you are at the core.
Mhm.
You have a core leadership style, but sometimes I have to flex that just based on the situations, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
So, and I know you've been in a lot of intense situations because you also have done projects that happen like with disaster recovery, hurricanes, tornadoes, and things like that. How do you keep your teams together and functioning well during those high stress, type of projects?
And again, not to be repeating myself,
Hmm.
but I'm telling you, when you start out right,
Everything flows from there.
it flows. Because you're still doing the same thing.
Okay.
I'm still having an open line of communication.
Yeah.
I'm still being transparent. I'm still being flexible.
Right.
I'm still, managing this risk. So when those situations and things occur, and also, especially as an airman, what we were in contracting was considered contingency contracting officers.
Okay.
So the Air Force actually trained us for the contingency. So when you're trained for a contingency, you are trained for the unexpected.
Right.
You are trained for the worst case scenario. And so you're still doing is bringing discipline.
Uh huh.
You're bringing structure. You're bringing open communication. So once you're consistent in your behavior, and discipline is a learned behavior,
Hmm.
and once you're consistent in that, things will come up
Okay.
and you will just manage it. I recall from a disaster perspective, I was in Okinawa when the tsunami hit Thailand.
Oh wow. Okay.
And the phone rang. My commander was off island. It was a group commander calling me. And what he was letting me know was like, hey, Lori, they're diverting a plane from, I think it was Misawa, one of the other Japanese locations. We're sending a group of people for training exercise in the U.S., but then it was diverted to Kadena
Hmm.
because they was going to send them down to Thailand. Well, you had two senior airmen, one finance person and one contracting officer that was going to go to the U.S.
Mm.
Those young people were not prepared for the mindset of responding to a tsunami. So I took them under my wings, and then I reminded them what was the rules of engagement for both of their career fields. And regardless of whether or not the conditions facilitated, a sound structure, they will still operate in the
Yes.
complexity and in the behavior and the structure of their craft. You're
Yes.
just in a different location.
Right.
So I got them rain gear, settled them down, reinforced them, asked questions. We was in the commissary. I'm in the commissary warehouse looking for deep. I'm calling the bank, with my Southern charm because it's a weekend. Come open up and give me some money so we can
Right.
transfer currency. And they were like, oh my goodness. And so that's what you have to do. But we were prepared for it. We were trained for it. So when you are operating in your craft and
Hmm.
you're disciplined in your craft, the contingency will come. But if I'm still required to do the things that I would do when it's a steady state, the only thing changed was the environment, the weather conditions,
Okay.
and so I'm responding with a bit more urgency. But again, I haven't changed any of the behaviors that I've learned.
Okay.
It's a repetition of it, and you just continue to do so.
Making it a repeatable process. I like
Absolutely.
it. Okay. So
Mhm.
I know you are the ultimate project manager, director, but share with us a story where, like strained relationships affected your project or affected some work that you had to produce in the workplace.
My Lord. Believe it or not, there were several candidates, but I squashed them, right? Well, I'll tell the time. Actually, when I took over as the contracting officer for Fort Belvoir, I took over during a time where it was right before the BRAC, the base realignment of Walter Reed. The Army was building a $1 billion hospital, first of its kind, holistic concept, and a 3-year protest had just ended.
Mm.
And the protest was for two off-base clinics in the area, in the Virginia area. Well, I'm not only new to Virginia, I'm new to I wasn't there when the contract was executed. Wasn't privy to any of the back and forth or anything about the protest. So what now you have is a decision, and now you got to start implementing. So I had to make sure those clinics was being stood up just as everything else was. So we had two contractors, incoming and outgoing. So I got 30 people around the table, OSIS, CEOs of these companies, and everybody is anxious about what's getting ready to happen. And I got to manage these personalities. And for a minute, I was like, okay. And again, I'm the new girl,
Yes.
but you got to manage that. But I had already established a bit of relationship, a rapport with the hospital, and they knew how my style of working. And so you have to go in there and you have to just let everyone know. At the end of the day, the bottom line is the transition going to occur.
Yeah.
And you're going to come across the table and you're going to behave this way and you're going to behave this way. And I literally had to tell them one day, if I have to come in here with tennis shoes, okay, that's what I'm going to do, because we're going to get this done, because I just didn't have time.
Right.
I even had to call AT&T or somebody, a Verizon, craziness that want to do what they're supposed to do to maintain the schedule. And so I was like, hold up, what you're required to do. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Wasn't my role or function, but again, I have to make sure things happen. We got to get these clinics open. Right. And so what you do is go in, and once you hold folks accountable, state the reality of it all, and then just let everyone know we have a common mission and a common goal. And the bottom line is that the government, one, is not going to allow folks to just haphazardly, delay progress. And so you just want to make sure that we're moving forward. And so those are the kind of relationships, that I've had, when I was managing a $128 billion project, when I was at the VA, that was a very complex requirement, highly political. So you got anxiousness by your customers and everyone else, because now we have to get something done by a certain amount of time because statute changing. Veterans needed. So you can only imagine the magnitude and of the personalities that we really did have to manage to facilitate executing that contract on time, and then being given that whole program, getting it stood up, and we was able to do so just in time, actually, for COVID, which was a remarkable feat. Right. So it happens, and what you have to do is, again, stay true to who you are. I was prepared. I mean, I was raised with women not liking me, so I've been talked about.
So you can move past that, but so I heard coming to Jesus, having the round table, coming to Jesus, and holding everyone accountable. So, and I would,
It's like, okay, I've been talked about before, so hey, we're going to get this stuff done. So it's like, I lived in my positions, I was just consistent, and they knew I was going to be consistent, but they knew Lori going to be respectful. They knew I wasn't making stuff up. I wasn't going to make something difficult for someone, and they knew I cared. I always had a commitment to every job that I've had. Right. I always knew what the impact was, how and the level and the magnitude of it. So, we're going to get this done.
Yeah.
And that was how it was always for me. And so because of that, throw a tantrum here and there, but they always knew the tantrum is not going to move me past what is right to do. And they appreciated that, and they respected that, and what you do is get to a place where when your name is called for the project, everyone exhale. Oh, okay, we good.
Yeah.
We know what's going to happen.
Good. We know what take place.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, they'll challenge you every day and Sunday too, because they feel like they have a script at that, right?
Right.
But they know at the end of the day, she's gonna make this. She's gonna make it happen, and we'll get it, and it's gonna be right when it's done. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So coming to Jesus, y'all, is always a good thing. Sometimes you have to bring your team to Jesus or
yes,
whoever they believe in. And then also I heard like casting the vision. Like I'm sure you probably had to recast that vision over and
oh,
over again to your team. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes, you do, and it's very key that you make sure your team know their purpose and their
Hmm.
worth and their value as it relates to the job that they're doing.
Right.
You know, remember earlier I talked about everything being aligned with those goals.
Hmm.
Man, when folks know why they're doing something, what their roles mean in relation to the accomplishment of things,
Right.
you tend to operate from a different place, and and because I made sure everyone knew their worth, knew their value, was accountable to, hey, this is what we have to do. And I always had this philosophy. I I'm certain that I want to get the full dollar, but
Mm.
y'all gonna give me 85 cents. Yes. I'll give 85 cents out of that dollar. We gonna work. I'll let you have a little break here and there. You get 15. But oh, I'm getting my money.
I know
And
that's right.
so we worked collected before, and I took care of them, and we did some great things while I was in government, both Air Force and the Federal Service, and I'm just proud of them.
Yeah.
Amazed everyone, and I created and developed some wonderful leaders. Everyone I've left as a manager, as a GS 14, they're now all GS 15 because my job was to develop them to replace me, and they all did. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, so that's beautiful. So first of all, thank you for your service to the United States. We certainly appreciate it. And then thank you for building leaders, right? Because that's one thing that we do as project managers, as project leaders,
Yes.
right? We
Mm-hmm.
should work very hard to build other
Mm-hmm.
leaders, other servant leaders who will go out and do the same. So thank you so
Yeah.
much. We appreciate it. All right, Lori. So we are about to roll out of here, but before we go, I want to talk 1 second. I want you to take a like 1 minute and just tell us about your event that's coming up in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Sowing our seeds. Give us a little bit of information about that.
Yay! I am so excited. And oh my God, you all, the Sowing Our Seeds Empowerment Conversion, it was again a mission that was given to me years ago. I'm grateful for Ty because last year, was it?
Hmm.
We sat around my kitchen table brainstorming, and we birthed the first one. And man, we had a goal to try to do them, what, 3, 4 times a year.
Yes.
We done annual, but the idea is, I'm about disclosing information, being transparent,
Hmm.
open communication. In the federal government, especially for women, we're not. It's not that we're not leveraging what's available to us. There's information that's been hosted, housed, closed, held,
Hmm.
whatever you want to put on it, and we're not getting it out in the way that it should.
People are
So
gatekeeping.
exactly. And so for sowing our seeds, when we talk about sowing, it's just strewing. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yep.
It may take root, it may not. But the idea is to give people usable information, whereas then when you leave, you have direction.
Mm.
So we often, so there's a lot of information coming. But if you're in business, and regardless of that stage of business that you're in, the idea is to sow into you holistically. So everything isn't about just understanding the technical components of government contracting.
Hmm.
I really need to make sure you have some business concepts and strategies embedded in you as well. So we need to understand what makes you whole completely as a business owner, because we shouldn't be developing businesses just to do business with the government. That is a bad strategy.
Okay.
So who are you servicing? So from an outreach, networking, engagement perspective, we share, I mean, we have brilliant minds. Coach Marvin Powell, he is the people guy. This time we got you and your crew, Alex, them coming up in here, and I can't wait for this panel that you all getting ready to host. And but program management is very key into what we do as professionals, whether
Yes.
again it's corporate or commercial or government. it is vital to your organization and your structure. And so the goal is to empower women, bringing them together in a very intimate setting, where and it's very almost bespoke. Whereas in we're not over the top, flashy or that kind of thing, but it's very intimate. And we're going to bring women together, and we're going to help them find clarity and direction in the things that they desire in order to move their business forward. So we have workshops on leadership. We will talk about proposal writing this time. We bring the finance people to you. That's finance literacy. That's learning how to get these loans with the CDC. We bring it all to those everyday business strategy concepts. And then we talk about being well, setting goals, and things of that nature. So it's the 10th through the 14th of October.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I put the link if you want to share it in the main thing in the little private chat here.
Okay.
If you want to share it out. But we're offering an early bird discount right now. But the whole thing, you just pay your ticket to come there, get there. But we are living in mansions, and the ladies' mansions, y'all, we are on the ocean.
Yes.
Oh, it is beautiful. We meals are catered, and again, we focus on your wellness. So we have, again, it's holistic.
Yes.
It's finance, it's wellness, it's business, it's government contracting. It's creating an ecosystem where you're learning and identifying how to go about, one, establishing relationships, meeting potential friends and partners that you can look and see, because sometimes we can't do it all, right? So, but I may meet a friend here that I can vet, and now I have a solution.
Yep. And
So we're
build a
going to talk
relationship with. Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
We have attorneys coming this time, and they're going to be talking about our intellectual property. Attorney talking about subcontracting and teaming. Again, we're trying to get people questions answered, and then and whereas in it's not telling you, oh, do this, do this, do this. You're gonna have direction.
Right.
We're walking through stuff, and so it's different when you leave knowing, okay, somebody put all the pieces together for me. I have clarity now. But yeah, we're doing branding. We're doing so much. Man, oh my God. Wait till you see some of these speakers that are getting ready to come out. I am so excited because we're putting it out. It is just amazing. And this year, we're incorporating young girls, right? And because the idea is we're empowering women, but most women are impacting a young girl somewhere. You know, they impact young boys too, but our young girls, you know, we have to make sure that they are remembered and they learn early, you know, that they are truly valued as well. So we're doing a lot of things that relates to their self-esteem, being self-aware, understanding how to stay protected, because, you know, human trafficking or our teams is very prevalent. We're doing financial literacy for them. We have an etiquette coach coming up in here.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes, they're going to do a joint session with the adult women and the young girls, teaching us how to present ourselves and how to engage in a way and in a manner where we're exhibiting trust and confidence. You know, how cool is that? Man, I mean, we have so much. We got the glow up where girl, we got to be talking. Because again, it's everything. It's image consultancy, makeup artistry, teaching us how to show up competent and prepared. So it's like we have these skill sets, but sometimes we lack confidence in ourselves and our ability. So if I have these leaders coming to sow into me, get my brain focused in the direction and or clarify that the direction I'm heading is the right way, and these are the things to continue to build upon, man, how cool is that? Yes. And everyone, for all of you all that are providing your services as a speaker, you know, we're creating opportunities where, you know, if you all want consulting hours and time, people will be able to sign up for a consult with you all, for all of those who want to put some time on the calendar. So very excited about what's getting ready to go on. It's just so much. I just be boiling over. So I probably ramble about it, but y'all, it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic.
Well, I'm excited about it. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Before we go, tell us how we can reach you on social media.
Well, of course, I'm out there on LinkedIn. You can, Lori Smith, I have two profiles, but the premium profile is the one that I stay on, and that's the one of me in the green dress with the gray hair. The other one is my brown hair that was back in the day. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can also connect me on Archaeologist on Facebook, as well as Sowing Our Seed on Facebook. You connect with me there. And of course, if you want to check out the website, it's archaeologist.com and or sowingourseeds.com is the website for Sowing Our Seeds. And Sowing Our Seeds, by the way, is a 501c3 nonprofit, and I am very excited about that as well. So again, our goal is to empower women as well as women veterans and facilitate their growth and development, not only in government contracts, but commercial and corporate contracting as well. But just as an entrepreneur, we learn things, and so I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. If you all
So
enjoy,
thank you.
yes, Lori is my mentor. So I didn't get into all of that because we'll start cackling and all that kind of stuff. But if you enjoyed this web series for today with Miss Lori, make sure that you hit the like button and then subscribe to the channel so that you can make sure that you know when the next Lessons Learned podcast web series comes out. You can follow us on LinkedIn. That's where we spend most of our time at Her PM. And remember everyone to embrace every lesson learned because they are our building blocks for success.
Absolutely.